Welcome to this explainer. Today we're jumping right into a really fascinating personal gardening log. Specifically, we're looking at entry number 938 by an author named Ang. Now you might be wondering, why dedicate a whole explainer to one single gardening journal entry? Well, it's because hidden right there in the simple act of propagating a plant is this absolutely brilliant lesson on botanical patience, the rhythms of nature, and getting that ultimate low-maintenance reward. So let's dive into how a basic propagation project actually turned into a beautiful life philosophy.
Right off the bat, Ng's language sets this deeply meditative tone. Notice how it says the propagation of these cuttings was started many moons ago. Not 6 months ago, not last year, but many moons ago. That phrasing alone tells us we're playing the long game here. We aren't looking at instant gratification. Instead, it's about surrendering to the slow, kind of unpredictable timeline of nature itself.
Moving into Section 1, the long propagation wait and finding the right light.
So Ang outlines a very deliberate process here. Step 1, take cuttings. Step 2, move them to a microclimate with full sunlight. And step 3, wait for blooms. Now, the real magic, and honestly the hardest part, is in the execution of that second step. You see, it wasn't just about sticking a plant in the dirt and hoping for the best, right? It's about paying close attention to the environment and making a calculated adjustment to give the plant exactly what it needed. And then came the true test, just waiting.
To ground ourselves botanically for a second, the specific plant we're talking about is the Crown of Thorns, or euphorbia-milii. According to Ang's log, this highly resilient flowering species is known for two very distinct features: incredibly slow growth and enduring blooms. And as you'll see, these physical traits perfectly mirror the lessons the author ultimately draws from the whole experience.
Which brings us to Section 2, the maintenance mystery, or to fertilize or not to fertilize.
So, did the author actually fertilize these plants? Well, Ang openly admits in the text to completely forgetting. I mean, think about that. Here is someone logging their 938th gardening entry, someone who pays deep attention to microclimates, completely forgetting a standard step in plant care. It's a pretty great narrative pivot, honestly, because it shows that sometimes a plant's sheer resilience just takes over, regardless of what we humans do or don't do.
To solve this little mystery, Ang actually looks back to the past and to nature. Remembering planting this exact same species in their youth, Ang notes that back then they used absolutely no fertilizer. It was just natural growth. And if you compare that to the tropical wild, this species thrives entirely on its own out there. It just proves that the plant's inherent hardiness far outweighs our need to micromanage everything.
So let's look at the plant care truths here. While adding fertilizer definitely helps, the reality is this species thrives naturally and requires little to no maintenance. The Crown of Thorns completely defies our modern urge to overmanage our hobbies. We're always feeling this pressure to optimize, right? To tweak things, to add just one more step. But this plant is literal proof that sometimes stepping back is actually the best care you can provide.
All right, Section 3, slow growth, lasting blooms, and the ultimate trade-off. Breaking down the traits here, Ang observes that the growth rate is, well, rather slow. But there's a catch. The bloom duration lasts longer than most other plant species. And guys, this is the ultimate trade-off. That painfully slow growth, those many moons of waiting we talked about, is perfectly balanced by those incredibly long-lasting blooms. You pay in patience up front, sure, but the return on investment outlasts almost everything else in the garden.
As the text tells us, the wait is the price of endurance. And honestly, this isn't just about a Crown of Thorns plant anymore, is it? Whether you're learning a new skill, building a career, or cultivating a relationship, the things that truly endure almost always require a slow, kind of unglamorous period of growth. Patience isn't just about passing time. It's the active price we pay for lasting results.
That leads us to our final part, Section 4, plant and forget, a low-maintenance philosophy.
After waiting for months, finally finding that perfect microclimate and getting rewarded with those beautiful flowers, Ang asks a very natural question to wrap things up. Would the author propagate this species further? I mean, when we succeed at a hobby, our first instinct is usually to scale up, right? We want to do more. We want to conquer the next big challenge.
But the answer in the log is surprisingly blunt. Not really. No way, right? This completely subverts what we'd expect. Instead of endless expansion, instead of turning a joyful, simple success into a massive, demanding project, Ang chooses contentment. The focus just beautifully shifts away from scaling up ambition and turns towards simple, contented observation of what's already been achieved. Anne concludes the entry by saying, "I will just keep the plant as it is. This is one of those species you can plant and forget, occasionally revisiting it from time to time. It is such a profoundly peaceful approach to a hobby, and honestly, maybe to life in general. This plant and forget philosophy is all about providing the right environment up front, like that full sunlight microclimate, and then having the wisdom to just step back and let it be."
So I'll leave you with this. Where does a plant and forget mindset fit into your life? In a world that constantly demands active management, optimization, and endless expansion, where can you afford to just set the right conditions, step back, and trust the slow process? I challenge you to find spaces in your own busy life for this kind of low-maintenance, high-reward patience. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope you find your own lasting blooms.